January 21st, 2022, we had a conversation about what Jack Eichel would look like in Vegas.
I think a lot of people who pay attention to the NHL are super excited to see exactly how he fits in within this lineup. I'm curious on where he slots. Where does William Karlsson fit in? Where does Chandler Stevenson fit in? And I think we know where Chandler Stevenson fits in. He'll be a third line center. But I'm curious on where he's going to be. Who's going to be on his flanks? Is it going to be Mark Stone and Evgeny Dandidov, or is he going to break up that line of Marcus So, Karlsson, and Riley Smith? It's fascinating to me exactly how they're going to mold this lineup, and because I don't think Pacioretty will be back. I believe that once Eichel does come back, that Pacioretty needs to go on the LTIR in order to make the money work and be under the cap. So obviously, I think I know where he's going to slot. I think he's going to be with Mark Stone because Mark Stone is the captain, and you want to make sure that he's put in a position to succeed. Or do you see a potential shakeup of that Marcus So, Karlsson, Riley Smith line, and you have Karlsson go down to the 1A or 1B line with Dadonov and Mark Stone? It's fascinating to me, and I cannot wait to see Eichel on a team that actually has the skill around him to make him better, Eichel, and for Eichel to make the players around him better.
Wednesday, February 16th, Jack Eichel makes his debut for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Mark Stone's going to go on LTIR, so Jack Eichel can play. So, but there's been other lesser profile examples of this happening in the past. I think in the Canucks Stanley Cup run season 2010, 2011 was Sami Salo not on LTIR for quite a length of time, which enabled them to keep their defense together as they had cap crunch issues as well. So, and that the difficulty here, and I know we've talked about this before, but where do you draw the line and say, okay, this is the limit and this isn't? Like, you have to have the ability to add players and salary to your salary structure to make up for injured players. So I don't know, like it ggets really murky.
But
when into this.
This one doesn't feel as bad as the Tampa one, because the Tampa one legitimately, they went out and traded for players who were injured and were not going to play for them to create the LTIR cap space that allowed them to do what they did. That was the issue I had with them. Yeah. With this one, it's a little bit irky. It's a little bit murky in terms of all of that. But it's, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's just
it's the way of it that bothers people.
Yeah. And like I said, it's allowed within the rules. I don't like it, but it's allowed within the rules right now.
I think if there is going to be a tipping point, it'll be if the teams that keep on abusing this loophole keep on winning Stanley Cups, then there will be enough groundswell movement against it that they'll probably close it at that point.
The other side of this, though, I think Mark Stone is legitimately injured. I really do. I think he's been injured most of the season. I'm of the belief, I have to believe he's injured. I don't think that's not a dispute. But I think there's also that part of the fan bases out there that are expecting their teams to manipulate the cap. As Sean Shapiro tweeted, it's like, if you're not manipulating the cap, you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason why Toronto got Gilman from us, because look at all the cap magic they've had to pull off the past couple of years to make the math work to be under the cap.
Yeah, and some of the dislike for the Canucks back then probably had a little bit to do with that.
Possibly, yeah.
So if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I mean, it's the old adage, but it rings true, doesn't it? Like it's competitive sports. It's professional competitive sports with a lot at stake, and if you're not cheating, really, you're not trying as hard as other teams are trying.
Well, if the league is allowing it, you're not actually cheating either.
Yeah,
I'll go to F1. They push the limits on what is allowed on technical spec specs on those cars as much as they can. Until they're told not to, they will continue to push. So I think that's kind of what's going on with the cap and the cap manipulation in the NHL right now. I still don't like it, but if it's allowed, it's allowed. You just have to deal with it.
And it also depends on what definition of cheating we're using. Like, are we talking about like to the letter of the rule, or are we talking about the spirit of the rule?
Well, yeah, everybody's problem is with the spirit of it, right? Like the LTIR system, the spirit of it is to temporarily, create cap space to replace that player and then bring them back at some point. Not just keep a ringer off your roster all season and then trot him out for the playoffs, then go and dominate and win a Stanley Cup, right?
That what made the Kucherov thing so egregious is because literally out the entire season and magically first round, hey boys, I'm back.
Yeah,
he wasn't the first player to do that though.
Yeah,
that was Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting too. Just get going on the ice. He's centering Max Pacioretty and Evgeny Dadonov, and then they actually split up the misfit line. So it's Matthias Janmark on the left wing, Riley Smith on the right wing with Wild Bill Carlson in the middle, and then Chandler Stevenson with Nick Roy and Jonathan Marchessault. So I remember we had that conversation a while back in terms of where does Eichel fit? And it looks like they literally have a top line and then two sort of second lines now with Stevenson and Marchessault, and then Carlson and Smith as pairings that build around that, let alone a fourth line of William Carrier, Brett Howden, and Nolan Patrick. Like, that's, if they can get going, watch out. That's like, I know Calgary just made the trade for Toffoli, but if they can get healthy on that blue line with Alec Martinez coming back, I don't know. It's going to be tough.
I still would put Vegas as the favorite to get out of the Pacific Division, even with the Toffoli acquisition. I still think Calgary would need one more thing. And I think without Mark Stone, I think it's closer. But when Mark Stone gets back in the lineup, I do think Vegas is here. Calgary is still here. Mark Stone is one of the better all-round forwards in this game.